That's it, you leave me alone and good luck.
Anybody have questions? Just raise your hand, he's here to answer.
Well, for sure I'll be very happy to answer to any question that you have. I'm not sure what was the introduction, I couldn't hear what you were saying about me. If you have a question, yes, of course. So your question, for the ones who didn't hear well, is how I got interested in cooking. I was interested at age 5 in eating. And therefore ended up in the kitchen of my grandmother. I had 2 grandmothers alive at the time, one from Italy and one from Provence, and they were cooking soul food. So I had the luck to be with them. My aunts were very good cooks as well. My mom was a very good cook as well, and she was very interested by nouvelle cuisine at the time, which was much more refined than soul food and so on. But still, I was always in the kitchen. They were very generous, and they made believe that I was helping. I was actually eating. And being a very, very bad student, not like it's an inspiration to anyone, especially for the youngest, I ended up at age 15 in the office of the principal with my mom, and he said, "It's over for your son, he has to get out of here." So therefore, I went to culinary school because they call that in French, I think they call that actually in English, a vocational school. So I went to culinary school, graduated, and then at age 17 was in Paris and started my career in La Tour d'Argent, actually, which was a famous traditional French restaurant. So that was the inspiration. Yes? So what does it take to get a 3-star Michelin or the top ratings in, I guess, New York Times and Zagat and so on, because it's very related. I think when you are the chef of a restaurant and you are involved with the cooking aspect and all the aspect of the restaurant, it's very important not to think about the ratings and not to be obsessed with it. Obviously, we don't take any award for granted. However, on a daily basis, my focus is on how can I make the food better, how can I create new dishes with my team, how can we make the restaurant better than yesterday, how can we create an experience for our guests, how can we, top the expectations of the guests, and so on. So that is what really is the focus of my day. Now it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of passion. You need to create a team around you because by myself I wouldn't do much. And it's very important to be an inspiration to your team. And you are an inspiration to your team by showing and by being an example. And that's what I think at the end ends with some good reviews and stars in the Michelin Guide. Yes?
The television program is unique. I don't know anyone else who has been able to do in a half hour what you do. So my question is, how do you decide on the locations? For instance, the honey, the sea, and what you choose to do on the program?
Yes, so your question is about our television show on PBS, Avec Eric,
right.
And the locations that we choose. Obviously, we want to go to beautiful places to begin with, and not ugly places to be inspired. As you know, the show starts where I am the chef of the Bernardin, which I am, of course, and we start in my kitchen. And then it's really, the show was based on my lifestyle and what I like to do on my day off, on my vacation, with the family or without the family, to be inspired. And what I do very often is that I travel, I go to, again, beautiful places, and I interact with interesting people. So for instance, in California, you're referring to the people who have a bee sanctuary. Then I went to Hog Island to see the farmers who farm the sea and have oysters and clams. And the locations were decided collectively with some other producers. However, I had a wish list, and I think I was stubborn enough to get my wish list, you know, and we went to those places. So that's why you see a winemaker, because I like to drink wine for sure, good wine, and a few winemakers actually in this area. And it's why we ended up in the Caribbean, because at one point we were shooting in January, and I said, you know, we're not going to go to Chicago in January, why? Let's go to the Cayman Islands, and so on. So that was how we decided for the destinations. Yes, sir? Well, so your question is about what is the secret to keep striped bass fresh as long as possible. Well, the secret is not to keep the striped bass too long, actually. You want to buy fish, and you want to cook fish almost immediately or as quick as you can. And it's one very easy secret to learn is that when fish smell like fish, the fish is not fresh any longer. Fish should never ever smell like fish. And when we get fish at the restaurant, basically, or in my house actually, I have the same rule. We keep the fish for maximum 24, 36 hours maximum, really. And after that, the fish start to not be as good. However, if you have to keep the fish at home for a longer period of time, I suggest that you have the fish in fillet, protect it with parchment paper, and then some ice, and you should have a perforated tray so that the water can leak. The fish should never be in contact with the water, because the water is going to wash the flavors. The ice, if it's in contact with the flesh, is going to burn the flesh. So you will have something that is flavorless. And then if you keep the fish for longer than that, then you will have something fishy, which is not necessarily what you will enjoy. I'm sorry, do you need to remove?
You're catching the fish fresh in the sea. Is there anything special, like, is there any parts of the fish that you other than the inside that you need to move right away?
Yes. Well, when you catch fish, and if you're on the boat, if you can gut the fish right away, take the gills out, and also sometimes if you can, with a knife or a needle, bleed the fish even more actually in the seawater. That will make the flesh of your fish much wider, and the blood will go into the water. Yes?
When you achieve the level of being called the best, it's very easy to fall from grace with a single slip. How do you maintain that focus with your staff and your restaurants to stay at that level for so long?
So if I understand well, you're saying that when you achieve a certain level, how do you keep that level of quality, and how do you motivate your staff and so on?
Yes.
Well, it's very simple. You start with the basics. You feed the staff well, which seems to be logical. However, in restaurants, very often the staff, if eats terrible food, we never have time to cook for ourselves. But we make a point of starting with the basics. Then you give good benefits to your staff. You pay them fairly or very well. You treat them with a lot of respect, and you teach them, because what I notice actually, especially in this country, is that most of the team is very curious. They always want to learn, and it's why they stay with you, because they want to learn. The day they don't learn anymore, they go somewhere else. So those are I think the basics. It's respect in terms of interaction, respect in terms of providing benefits and salaries, and teaching, mentoring when you are at my level of experience. When you start to see white hair, it's time to mentor the guys. Yes?
What do you think about chefs being looked at as rock stars now? They become celebrities.
So what do I think about chefs being perceived as rock stars and being potential celebrities? Well, I'll tell you one thing. As much as you can fantasize as being a rock star, the minute you walk into your kitchen, it's no rock stars any longer. It's no celebrities. Nothing of that exists any longer. So as much as we sometimes believe that chefs are becoming celebrities and so on, the reality catches up with you on a daily basis when you enter your kitchen. It's nothing glamorous in peeling carrots, nothing glamorous in cutting onions, especially taking the guts of the fish is not glamorous at all. Cooking all day on the line or being in the kitchen as you can imagine, or I don't know if you're a professional or not, but as you can imagine, kitchens are very hot. You stand on your feet all day long and so on. So that really brings you back to the reality that cooking, it's not about glamour and celebrity, it's about working hard. Yes?
What's your favorite type of food or cuisine?
My favorite type of food? I really like everything. I'm very curious. Since a young age, like I kind of explained on the beginning, but I'm kind of a cookie monster, almost. I like to eat a lot, and I am very curious about any kind of food. I am curious about Asian food, about Mediterranean food, European food, American cuisine, and so on. So, in my mind, there's two kinds of food: is good food and bad food. And then, depending on my mood or depending on where I am, I'm discovering the food from where I am. Actually, I mean, I just come back. I was lucky enough to be in Vietnam not too long ago, and to me, it makes no sense to eat a filet mignon béarnaise in Hanoi. You go and you eat a pho or something local. When you are in Greece, it's no reason to eat something that would be inspired by French or Italian. To eat something inspired by where you are. So that's what really drives my curiosity. Yes?
What's the most difficult and most rewarding thing about being a professional chef?
The most rewarding thing, let's start with the positive. So the most rewarding thing about being a chef is that usually when you are a chef, it means you have been in the industry for a long time. And therefore, you have true passion for cooking. And the satisfaction is that you live from your passion and for your passion. At the same time, it's nothing more rewarding than mentoring a team and also than feeding happy customers, happy clients. I think that is really what's the reward in our industry. The industry based on hospitality, so therefore we are here to serve. And we have to take pleasure in that. If you don't take pleasure in delivering not only food but an experience, therefore then it's not for you. The most challenging is on the beginning as a young cook. It's physical because not very young people have the habit of being on their feet for 15 hours, 16 hours. Not many people have the habit of being close to a stove that it's basically burning your face and your arms, and so that's very difficult. Also, it's a lot of heavy duty pots and pans, and it's heavy lifting, and you feel it in the back, and so I think the physical aspect is a challenge. Also, the stress that you have as a cook is definitely a challenge, because every day as a chef, as a cook, even as a waiter, you have the pressure that at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, to serve an entire dining room. And the perfect dinner or the perfect lunch is when you serve perfectly cooked food, delicious food, on the front of the right person, in a timely manner, in a clean plate. And when you have 100 persons, like we have here, it's stressful. Thank God I'm not feeding you tonight.